Hi everyone. Today I am going to be talking about the classic novels, what I consider my classic novels, um, the classic novels that I have on my shelf. And I'm going to be going through all of them. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't. So I'll be giving like a little bit of information about each one. And for the ones that I've read, I'll talk about my thoughts on them. So yeah. Okay, and it's gonna be a problem later because I'm using the books to prop up my phone. But we'll worry about that when the time comes. So, first, let's see, which one should I start with? I'm not sure if this would be considered classic, but she is like the queen of mystery, so I would consider her a classic author in different terms. But I have And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, and it's murder mystery, of course. And it's about like 10 people who get a letter to go to this island to have like dinner with like by this stranger person, like they don't know who it is. So these 10 people come here to have dinner, and none of them know each other, but one by one they start dying. So they're all trying to figure out who is the murderer, what is happening to these people. Really interesting. She never fails. She never goes wrong. So, highly recommend this. Okay. Next I have one that I got for Christmas, and this is my introduction to the author. I haven't read it yet, but I'm really, really excited to because I've always wanted to read her work, and if I like this, I hope I'll get some more books by her. But this one is Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. So, I know a lot of people start Virginia Woolf with Mrs. Dalloway, and my English teacher actually recommended Mrs. Dalloway, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try To the Lighthouse first because I've heard some really good things about it. And it's also pretty short, and I love short books. I'm kind of afraid of reading long books, so yeah. But anyways, this I'm really excited to read. It's about the Ramsay family living in a summer house off the rocky coast of Scotland. And they face alone and together the greatest of human challenges and its greatest triumph, the capacity for change. So I guess it'll be a family story, but really excited to read Virginia Woolf. Okay, next I have a cult classic, so it's going to be a part of my classics shelf. Okay, let's try again. I'm facing some technical difficulties at the moment. Okay, let's try again. Okay. This is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Did I just say Hilton? Not Hilton, not Paris Hilton. Hinton. S.E. Hinton. Yes. Okay. The Outsiders is a coming of age story about a boy named Ponyboy and his family and his like friends and everything. And in his neighborhood there are like two parts, like there are two parts of town. They have like the rich, they have like the rich kids called the socials or the socks. I'm not sure if that's like how you pronounce it, but and they're on the other side called the greasers. And it talks about his life, and then they face some conflicts with like the other kids, and then he and his friend have to end up running away from home because of something that happens. And the story is just about his growth through his youth. So this is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I have not read this yet, but I've heard good things about it. It's a remarkable tale of exile and survival, of heroism and leadership. The epic novel of a group of adventurers who desert their doomed city and venture forth against all odds on a quest for a new home, a sturdier future. So I think this is an adventure story of rabbits, I'm guessing. Okay, next I have The Diary of Anne Frank. I don't think I've read this yet. I got this a long time ago, like 5th grade, and I don't think I ended up reading it, but I feel like, I'm not sure because I feel like I know so much about Anne Frank. Yeah, I think I read a book about her life somewhere else, but not her actual diary. But definitely have to read this at some point. Okay, next, this is a book. Oh, actually, the next two books are two books that I thrifted a little while ago, not too long ago. So the first one, I'm afraid it's not gonna stand up. The first one is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and I had read this before online, but I saw it at the thrift shop, and I was like, look at this cover. I think it looks beautiful. I love it. Okay, so while I was watching it back, I just realized that when I was talking about Of Mice and Men, the book actually has two books within it. I didn't realize that when I bought it, but it has Of Mice and Men, and Cannery Row. So the actual Of Mice and Men is only up to page 107. So this, oh god, this is how much the actual Of Mice and Men is, and then the rest is Cannery Row, which I have not read. So I have to read that one. As well. But yeah, it's a lot shorter than I thought. And this is a book that I really, really enjoyed when I read it, and got a little emotional during. So I was like, you know what? I think this is something my younger brother, should read. So I ended up buying it, and I was also thinking maybe I could annotate this one, so I could have some notes in it for myself. And it's about, let's see, clinging to each other in the loneliness and alienation. George and his simple-minded friend Lenny dream, as drifters will, of a place to call their own. But they end up going to work on a ranch, and some things start happening that were not planned. Okay, much better. Okay, so the next book is another book that I thrifted. I have not read this one yet, but I am very excited to. It is F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Beautiful and Damned. So I've read Great Gatsby. I liked Great Gatsby. So I thought I'd pick up another one of his books, and when I saw this, I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. Again, I think this is like a 1920s satire, criticism of everything that was happening during the time. So it tells the lives of a Harvard-educated man named Anthony Patch and his beautiful, willful wife, Gloria. And apparently, according to the back of the book, it ironically foretells the fate of Fitzgerald and his own wife, Zelda. And I wonder, from its giddy romantic beginnings to its alcohol-fueled demise. I wonder, I'm not sure, because I know some of Fitzgerald's material was from his wife's diaries. I wonder, I'll do more research. I'll see if this one is. Okay, I'm back. I have done more research with Wikipedia, which we all know is such a reliable source. Apparently, her diary entries were used in This Side of Paradise and The Great Gatsby, and one of her letters, one of Zelda's letters to Fitzgerald was used in The Beautiful and Damned. But that is all I see about that. There's a lot of their own relationship and what happened reflected in this book. Okay, next, I'm on to the back of my shelf. So this is Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. A very popular movie has just come out about this. Again, I think. Tells a story of, I don't know how many sisters. I haven't read this yet. As you can tell. I know Pride and Prejudice was 5 sisters. I want to say 5 sisters for this one, but it might be 4. It tells a story of, I don't even know if their names. I know Amy. I know this one that starts with a J, but I can't remember. Beth. I know Beth. Meg, Josephine. Jo, Meg, Amy. Who's the one I just mentioned? I can't remember anymore. The March Sisters. Okay, tells the story of the March Sisters. And I guess, because there's nothing on it, I'm assuming it's about like their upbringing and their childhood to adulthood. So I've heard amazing things about this, so I have to read it at some point. Okay, next, oh, I just mentioned this one, but this is one that I got a long time ago, and I think I had read it when I was, like, read part of it when I was younger, and I didn't understand it. But we read it again this year for school, and I'm so glad my teacher made us read it because I loved it. And this is Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. Isn't this cover really pretty though? Like, look at the quotes on it. It's wonderful. I love it. I love this book. I feel like Austen stuff, like, there not much happens in it. They do a lot of dancing, and they do a lot of visiting each other's houses. But her writing style is so humorous and so witty that it's just so much fun to read. And this is about the Bennet sisters. There are 5 sisters. Let's see. There's Jane, Lizzie, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia. The Bennet sisters and their mom is intent on getting them married. That is like her goal in life, to get them married. So there's a bit that I didn't mention, but a new neighbor moves in down the street. He's extremely wealthy, and his name is Mr. Bingley. And then the girls, the Bennet sisters, go to, I think, a ball that is being held, and they meet him there. And Mr. Bingley's like this really great guy. He's super sweet, he's super social, he's just really, really nice. And then he's best friends with this guy named Mr. Darcy, who is the complete opposite of him. He's super aloof, he's super cold. During the dance, he's like, I don't want to dance with any of these girls. I'll only dance with people like, I know. So Lizzie, one of the sisters, she's the main character of this, and Darcy do not get off to a good start, at least in Lizzie's point of view, because this is, it's not first person, but it's like in the eyes of Lizzie. So they get off to a bad start, but it kind of, things happen, and it goes through their relationship, it goes through other relationships in the story, and yeah, it's amazing. I love it. It's great. Highly recommend if you haven't read it. Okay, why am I not putting these back on the shelf? Okay. Next, I have another Austen novel that I have yet to read. I was going to read it after I read Pride and Prejudice, but I realized when I started, I was like, oh, I don't think I can read 2 Austen novels back to back. So I'm saving this one to hopefully read sometime later this year. This one is a copy I got from China, actually. I bought a lot of books in China, but I couldn't bring them all back. Well, I couldn't bring any of them except for this one back home because we had no space in our luggage, which is very, very sad. So at some point, I hope I can bring them back here. Oh, and shipping was way too expensive to ship them all here. So, but this cover is beautiful. It's like the nicest. It's such a nice book. This is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. And it's about 2 sisters, the Dashwood sisters, Eleanor and Marianne. And I don't really know what it's about, but I think it's about like marriage and romance again. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm excited to read it because I enjoyed Pride and Prejudice so much. So I hope I can get to it sometime this year. Oh, it's not this book, but I bought a bunch of books in when I visited my family in China, and one that I read, or the first one I read while I was there, because I think I thought it was the shortest, was The Lady of the Camellias. I don't think I've heard anyone else talk about it before, but it's one of my favorite books of all time. Is it a play? I can't remember. But it's a tragic romance story, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I loved it. I cried during it. It was amazing. I love it so much. So I hope I can get that book back sometime, because I don't think I have it with me, which makes me very sad. But if I do end up getting back, it will fit in on my shelf. Okay, the next book is a dystopian classic. So I'm going to put it in my classic section. And this is Fahrenheit 451. It's about dystopian society where they hate books. It's a very censored society. So they burn all the books. And the main character is Guy Montag, and his job is a firefighter, but not in a sense where you go and like if a house is burning, like you put out the fire. he's a firefighter in the sense that you burn books. Like, he burns, like, if they find books, he'll burn the books. And then he meets a girl named Clarice who kind of gives him a different perspective, and he's like, why am I burning books? What is the point of this? And Fahrenheit 451, because that is the temperature at which books burn. Okay, so kind of need to film a new introduction for the next book, but the next book is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is a beautiful copy. Can we please appreciate its beauty? Look at that. This is one of the... Oh, see, I have another book that's the same. I'm going to talk about this later, but I'll show you anyways. That's like the same type, like cover-wise. But I'm really upset because this one got wet, so like all the pages are kind of ruined. I'm like, I really wanted another copy, but they don't sell these anymore. So I end up going online. They only sell them in bulk, and I don't need 100 copies of the Scarlet Letter. So, you know, if anyone else needs Scarlet Letter, please let me know so I can see if I can buy some in bulk and get a new copy of this. Anyways, back to Jane Eyre. I didn't love this when I first read it, and I think I want to go back and read it again, and maybe I'll appreciate it more this time. Because it, or not because, I don't know why I said because, it follows Jane Eyre, who is an orphan. It follows her from childhood, and then like school, I think, and then going to Thornfield Hall and everything afterwards. So it really is a story of her and her how she matures and how she becomes a more independent and stronger woman. And it's not just focused on the romance, but it really is a story about her own growth. So I think I'm going to go back. I think I'm going to read it again, and hopefully I'll like it more this time. Okay, next I have another Gothic novel, and this is one that I enjoyed more than Jane Eyre. I really like this one. This is one of my favorite books of all time, along with Lady Camellias and 1984. So, this is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. That's not how you say her name, is it? Daphne du Maurier? I'm not exactly sure how you say that. But this book is everything to me. I love it. I love it so much. And this is about a young woman who is working in, I want to say Spain, but she ends up meeting an older man there, and they end up having like a fling over the summer, and he ends up asking her to marry him and move back. He's rich, just have to say that, but ends up asking her to marry him and asks her to... Oh my God. Okay, I have come back with a chair, and I have moved the camera because I am in pain, and now let me get Rebecca. Okay, so technical difficulties, but he asks her to move with him into his home, Manderley. And what I love about this book, one of the things I really, really like about it, I don't know why exactly, but she moves from like the original setting at the very beginning of the novel. The first place where they meet, it's very like bright, it's sunny, it's summer. So it's a very warm atmosphere, even though her life wasn't like amazing at that time either. But the setting was very like bright. But when they move to Manderley, it's like this transition into a darker place, because Manderley is like surrounded by like woods and like trees, and Manderley is the epitome of like Gothic architecture, Gothic themes. It's like that kind of home. So the transition from the first setting to Manderley is really, really cool, and I enjoyed that a lot. And at Manderley, she is struggling to fit in, and she's struggling to get to a better place in her relationship with her husband because of her husband's past, her husband's former wife, Rebecca, who is the title character of the story. And
like the housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, who plays a big part in the story, and all like the workers, they still follow like Rebecca, like what Rebecca had done before. So our main character, who doesn't have a name, she's called the second Mrs. De Winter the entire story, which tells you a lot. She's struggling in this new environment, and there's a really great plot twist. A lot of things happen, and we learn a lot of secrets about the home and about the past.
Okay, so next is a book that I have been currently reading for the last 2 years. So that's kind of awkward, but I hope to finish it this year. That is one of my goals. It is also, can we appreciate this cover? Look how beautiful that is. So this is The French Lieutenant's Woman by John Fowles, and this is about so it starts off, well, it's about title character, someone who is known as the French Lieutenant's Woman. So it starts off with Charles and his fiancée Ernestina, and they're like walking along the cliffside, and they see this like woman out in the distance, and he's like, who's that? Because she seems like very mysterious, and like, you know, she seems very interesting. And Ernestina tells him about a little bit about her. She's kind of like a neighborhood like legend almost, not like in that sense, but like they don't know much about her, so they kind of make a lot of rumors. But they're like, oh, she's waiting for the French lieutenant who, like, you know, went out to sea, and she's waiting for him to come back still. And Charles finds her like very mysterious, like not like super like, he's not like falling in love with her like, oh, she's so attractive or anything. He just finds her really interesting, and it kind of tells their story as they get to know each other, etc, etc. So I haven't read all of it yet, but it's like a romance, but not like a super happy romance. There's a lot more to it, I think, but I haven't finished it, so I hope to finish this year, and I'll tell you more once I finish it. It's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and it follows Scout, a young girl, and it follows both her childhood and a case that her father, who is a respected lawyer in the community, gets dealing with an African-American man who has been falsely accused of a very, very bad crime. So it deals with coming of age, but it also deals with racial prejudice and discrimination during the time, because I'm pretty sure they're in the South. I'm pretty sure they're in Alabama. I might be wrong about that, but it's somewhere in the South. So there are a lot of elements, and there are a lot of layers to the story, and it is a beloved novel. Next one, this is another one that I thrifted. I have not read it yet, but this condition is amazing. Like, it looks brand new. So this is The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, and I have not read this yet, but I'm pretty sure, I can't remember when we talked about it. I remember talking about it in U.S. history, but I can't remember when. I think it's like, I want to say it's about the Chicago like meat industry or something like that. But it does talk about apparently, it talks about like immigrants and working people struggling to achieve the American dream. So I'm very excited to read this. Okay, so I'm back in a different location. The Jungle was written during the Progressive era of the United States, and Sinclair was, I think, a journalist before, and The Jungle does deal with the meatpacking industry, and he exposes, I think, like how like unsanitary it is, and he talks a lot about industrialization and urbanization, and immigration, and the like harsh conditions of the immigrant workers. So okay, last one on my shelf, not the last one, but last one on my shelf. Oh, this is heavy. I have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and this is the gold. This is a heavy book. Yeah, so Sherlock Holmes detective stories. I've read a few of them, have not read all of them. But you know what? I'll read more this year. Okay, and then over here, not on my classic shelf, and I don't know why. It's on my other shelf. It's on my contemporary shelf. Well, it's not contemporary. It's like contemporary. It's like modern books. So like contemporary, there's historical fiction. You know what? Maybe I'll do a video about that later. I have the complete works of William Shakespeare. Another gold pages, but another really, really heavy book. So I've read some of Shakespeare. We've read Shakespeare in school, so like, and we're gonna read. Maybe we're not gonna read Hamlet. Are we gonna read Hamlet this year? I don't know. I've read like Macbeth, Midsummer, and Romeo and Juliet. I hope that at some point I'll be able to read all of his works. Not sure if that's gonna happen, but you know, it's nice to have goals. Okay, let me fix that. Okay, so for the ones not on my shelf because they were in a box, I ended up getting oh my god. I ended up getting those. And they are currently on my floor now. So most of these I'm currently reading. There's one that I'm not yet, but I hope to read this year. Okay. So, as I talked about before, I have the Scarlet Letter, which I have read part of. Not very far into it yet. But Scarlet Letter, we didn't read this in school because last year was virtual, but I'm going to read it now. It's about this woman who I'm pretty sure is in New England, so America, and her husband, older man. I think he's still in Britain. I don't think he's come to America yet, but she came first. And she ended up having an affair with a respected person in her community. She refuses to say who, and she ends up having his baby. And people, like the townspeople, are pissed at her, and they end up making her wear a red A on her chest to kind of like always have that symbol that like she did something bad. But they want to know, like everyone wants to know who like the guy she cheated with was, but she refuses to tell. And her husband ends up coming to America, coming to the town, and he's like, yeah, don't tell anyone I'm your husband because, you know, like we don't want that getting out. But he's like, he's not happy, and he's trying to find the guy. Like he's trying to figure out who the other man was, and she's trying to hide it. And I think she's making a plan to run away with that guy with the baby. Again, I haven't read much into it, so I don't know who the other man is currently, but I think I do. I have a guess. So I'll keep reading this. I'll keep you updated because it's very good so far. Okay, next, something else I just started reading. This is another book I got for Christmas, and I ended up getting it from I was gonna get it for my brother because he liked Fahrenheit 451, so I was like, okay, he's into like the dystopian novels, and I got this one because it's one that I haven't read yet either, but I'm not sure. I have to keep reading into this to see if he would like it, but this is We, and this is like the foundation of dystopian novels. And there's an interesting story with Aldous Huxley's Brave New World in this, because those are written like 10 years, a decade apart. So Brave New World was written afterwards, and Orwell, like 1984, George Orwell was like, I'm pretty sure like Huxley, you know, got the idea from this novel, and Huxley was like, no, I didn't. So I don't know what actually happened, but a staple of dystopian literature. And this is hello. Okay, so there's a totalitarian society, and it follows this man who's like super logical, super mathematical. It has a lot to do with like the censorship aspect. And currently, like where I am, he has like met this woman who makes him like really flustered and like not logical. And he's like, I hate her, but there's a very thin line between love and hate. So maybe, I'm not sure like exactly where the book will go because I'm not too far into it. 1/3 of the way. It's a pretty short book, so not exactly sure what's gonna happen. But yeah. Okay, and then 2 more. Next one I have is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And this one is about things that take place in a mental hospital. But I bought this for a friend, and this is the one book that I've actually like written in, like I've annotated, but I haven't finished it, and I just cannot get, I don't know why I can't get through it. And like I've had this for like 2 years, and I've been annotating it for so long, and I'm still not done. Like I'm not even close to done. Please tell me if you've read this and your thoughts on it, because I want to know. I'm going to try to keep reading them. Okay, and then finally, finally, I'm very, very excited to read this. I haven't read it yet, but I first met it. Sounds like I'm meeting in person. No, I first met it in one of the passages for an SAT practice test. I think it's SAT practice test number 2. I might be wrong about that. But this is Silas Martyr by George Eliot. I read it, the passage, and I was like, I love this. I need to read this. I have not read it yet, but I know that he has a pretty tough life. So number one, he's living in this town, and he gets falsely accused of theft. I thought it was is it theft? I'm not sure. So apparently he gets falsely accused of theft, and he has to leave the town, and he goes to another town. He becomes a weaver, and then he's like saving up gold, like he's saving up money, and then one day I'm pretty sure someone like steals his money. He steals his gold. So he's like he's having a rough life. But he ends up adopting this girl, this young girl, and I think that really changes his perspective on happiness, and you know, love and everything. And the passage I read, I think, was about her, and I was like, this is beautiful, this is so lovely. So I'm very, very, very excited to read this one this year. I said this year for like all of these books, but I don't think I'm gonna get through all of these books this year, but I really, really want to read this one. So those are all my classic books. That took a really, really long time, and this is gonna be a really long video, and I haven't done my psychology homework, which I was supposed to do instead of making this video. But it's okay. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun talking about these books and going through all the books, all the classic books I have, or what I consider classic books, on my bookshelf. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.